Hey y'all, today we're going to stick our noses into some top secret information. At least it seems to be top secret with the number of NASA and other countries' scientists that appear to be going missing or dying. This pattern has increased to the point of people realizing and beginning to ask questions. So many questions that the FBI has actually opened up an investigation into this string of missing persons and apparent homicides/suicides.
They all had one thing in common: knowledge of highly classified information. Now the White House is demanding answers and the FBI is investigating.
What do you think is happening here? And do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. Some of them were very important people.
4 of the 11 scientists had worked for NASA, 3 of them in the space agency's Jet Propulsion Lab.
There have been 13 scientists that have either gone missing or passed away thus far. Let's go over the ones we know.
I took the liberty of writing down the 11 scientists and engineers who've either gone missing or been found dead under mysterious circumstances in the United States over the past 2 years, and I have it right here. Number 1, Amy Eskridge. She was found dead in June 2022. She was the one who came out and said she was being targeted and followed and then was found dead not long later. She was researching anti-gravity propulsion systems and electrostatic propulsion systems. Number 2, Michael David Hicks. He was found dead in July 2023. He was researching Earth space observation systems, so things like near-Earth objects and comets. Number 3, Frank Maywald. He was found dead in July 2024. He was working on planetary robotics systems like the Mars rover. Number 4, Anthony Chavez. He went missing in May 2025. Not much is known about what he was researching, but he had clearance at the Los Alamos National Lab. That's where they do the nuclear stuff. Number 5, Monica Reza went missing in June 2025. She was working on orbital communication systems. Number 6, Melissa Casillas went missing June 2025. Again, not much is known about what she was researching, but she did have very high security clearance at Los Alamos National Lab. Number 7, Steven Garcia went missing August 2025. He was a nuclear weapons engineer. Number 8, this one's fairly close to me. This is Jason Thomas. He was found dead in the lake in January 2026, but went missing in December 2025 when he left his house without his wallet or keys for no reason. He was working on chemical biology and experimental drug development. Number 9, Nuno Loureiro was shot dead in December 2025. He was working on plasma physics and fusion science. Number 10, Carl Grillmare was found dead in February 2026. He was researching exoplanets, stellar streams, and near-Earth objects. And finally, number 11, William McCasland went missing in February 2026. He was the director of the Air Force Research Lab. He was working on advanced military research and development like hypersonics, directed energy systems, and advanced propulsion tech.
The 13th scientist, number 13, NASA nuclear engineer, found burned in Tesla after vanishing from his Alabama home last year. I just reported number 12 yesterday, and I'm reporting number 13 today. 29-year-old Joshua LeBlanc was not just any NASA engineer. He worked on nuclear propulsion systems, one of the most sensitive areas in aerospace. His body burned beyond recognition, and police confirmed his identity 3 days later after the body was transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Science.
I think it's pretty obvious that I'm insinuating these scientists could potentially be getting wiped out under shady circumstances because of their knowledge. Wiped out or perhaps hidden away. Today, we're going to discuss some potential theories as to why these disappearances are happening. These theories require an open mind to fully grasp because they go against everything we were taught about our world. Some are even scary to think about. Let's start to understand our first theory by talking about David Wilcock. David Wilcock is most widely known for his contribution to the History Channel show Ancient Aliens, which discusses the potential hidden influence that aliens could have had and could still have on Earth. David Wilcock suddenly passed away from suicide after supposedly just speaking out and basically saying he loved life and was grateful for life.
There's some tragic news of David Wilcock, a prominent UFO researcher and a disclosure advocate, has been found unalived in his home due to suicide, right? So, Boulder County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to a 911 call at 10:44 a.m. on Ridge Road. A man in a mental health crisis outside the residence and holding a weapon used it on himself within minutes of contact. He was pronounced unalived at the scene. Now, Wilcock was a major voice in ufology, not a traditional field investigator, but a prolific researcher, lecturer, filmmaker, and New York Times best-selling author, right? And he's more prominent in Ancient Aliens and talking about the spiritual realms and gods and so forth. Now, in 2022, this is another strange thing to link to the recent events of this weird trail mix of stuff happening in succession. He said in 2022 that basically he is not suicidal. Make of that what you will. Here's another list of people in recent times that have unfortunately been lost in the UFO world, and my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and friends at this time.
2 of his colleagues from Ancient Aliens have also passed away recently. A commenter points out he is the 3rd person from Ancient Aliens to die in the last 90 days. Eric Von Daniken, Nick Pope, and David Wilcock. Eric von Däniken, the Swiss author known for his theories on ancient astronauts, passed away at the age of 90 on January 10th, 2026. So he was 90, which makes you think he could have just passed from being old. But if you think of it deeper, it could just be like, oh, that's an easy one because he's 90. So people will just think like, oh, old age got him. Nick Pope, the former UK Ministry of Defence UFO investigator, passed away on April 6, 2026 at the age of 60 after battling stage 4 esophageal cancer. Cancer is horrible and it steals so many lives. It also can make you wonder, did somebody poison him and give him cancer? That's talked about a lot, especially with the amount of radiation and things going on these days. Radioactive shrimp, or all of these really were just coincidences. And either way, 3 people have passed away. I give their families my deepest condolences. Nonetheless, the 3 of them passing away in such close proximity is absolutely strange and creepy, no matter how you try and spin it. Another scientist of importance to us in understanding our theories, and who apparently also committed suicide, is Amy Eskridge. And she had a lot to say leading up to her untimely passing. This is a message she sent to her friend. Oh, by the way, if you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not. Just like Bishop most definitely did not. Maria and Gopi and Adriel, just like McLandis sure as fuck did not blow his own head off with the shotgun. The dominoes are being lined up all over again now. So Amy's dad, Richard Eskridge, is a retired NASA engineer. And although Amy co-founded an institute with her father, she stood on her own 2 feet in the science community. She was a highly intelligent individual with a master's of electrical engineering, chemistry, physics, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology. Her field of research focused on anti-gravity. Anti-gravity is the idea that there could be some way for gravity to be manipulated, resulting in vehicles that can defy the laws of physics, since this particular field of research is in the quantum realm. It can be quite hard to understand if you've never looked into it before, and I'm definitely no expert in it, so we should watch a quick clip to help us grasp the concept of anti-gravity.
We think of gravity as something that pulls us, but what if we could use it to push us, to propel us into outer space?
Gravity is one of the fundamental forces, and thus anti-gravity, in theory, would be impossible. It has been proposed that if another force could attract matter or repel it, like a theoretical anti-gravity, then maybe a machine could be made to simulate that effect.
According to public knowledge, this problem of anti-gravity has never been solved. However, according to Amy Eskridge, anti-gravity has actually, supposedly, been solved 4 independent times and was silenced every single time.
It's been independently discovered 4 other times. He said it has been suppressed every single fucking time. And he said, I don't think they're going to suppress it this time. He said, I think you're in the clear. He said, they obviously know about you because I've had multiple, both protective and threatening interactions with various agency affiliations, whatever. He was like, if you haven't had a US government agent come to you and say, stop, shut the fuck up, stop, shut the fuck up. If that hasn't happened, they're going to let you do it.
She claims that she and her team were able to create an equation to solve the problem. She jokes that this discovery has actually ruined her life because the power behind the knowledge is priceless. It basically put a bounty on her head.
Number 6 is anti-gravity. The 6th force is anti-gravity. That's what my group has a mathematical equation to physically describe. We have 6th force on lockdown. Like, we discovered anti-gravity, and it's like the worst thing that ever happened to us in our entire lives. It's like a fucking curse. It's horrible. Like, we discovered anti-gravity and our lives went to shit and people started sabotaging us, and it's harassment, threat. It's awful.
She talks about how they went as far as bugging her home and tells a story about how she knew they were listening that is beyond eerie.
I found out that I was being physically surveilled by the following method. My ex-boyfriend and I realized that people had been breaking into our apartment while we were gone together in the same vehicle. And so, like, I'm in the apartment, I'm about to go to work, and I'm like, why don't you take out the trash and scope out the parking lot and make sure it's okay before I go to work? So he goes out there and he's like, there's this weird fucking Lexus. It's like a silver Lexus. This is a shitty apartment. Like, why is there really nice Lexus in the parking lot? And it has tinted windows that are not street legal. Like, just totally dark, totally black tinted windows that are not possibly street legal. And so he comes back in and we're standing in our bedroom window looking at the Lexus and talking about it. And I say out loud, maybe we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate. Because the Lexus is across the parking lot from us, but it's backed in, so you can't see the license plate. Within 2 minutes of me saying, hey, we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate, we were still standing there at the window looking at it, talking about it. And an Eastern European looking motherfucker with a black beanie, dressed all in black, in his 50s or 60s, walked out of the apartment directly across from ours holding a license plate. And he opened the trunk of the Lexus and he took out some tools and he changed the license plate right in front of our fucking faces. And then he walked back to his apartment and he put the old license plate on the front patio and went inside, left it outside. And it was literally like, come get the license plate. I have more where this came from. Come get the license plate.
I would literally never sleep again. She says they're unable to hack into her computer, but that they were beaming her hands to be able to make out what she was typing, which was causing her hands to burn. The burning didn't stop until she blocked off the entrances to her home.
Back as I've been typing, because you can beam me through there and through there, and you can get a 3D image of what I'm typing. Because this computer doesn't have a Wi-Fi card, you can't hack it, but you can maybe get a 3D image of me typing. So like we just did that, and did that as an act of pure desperation. And guess what? I feel better immediately. Like, my hands still burn because there's damage. But it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded. And it was like, like relief.
She tells another creepy story of a guy asking her how many roofies she wanted in her drink.
So I don't go to bars by myself anymore, even though it's my most productive zone. Because in the past 12 months, if I sit down at a bar by myself, some dude will come, like some 50-year-old dude will come and sit next to me and turn to me and say, do you want one roofie in your drink or two? Twice now, three times. It's like, I'm really fucking drunk. I shouldn't be this drunk. I didn't drink enough to be this drunk. What's happening? Why am I so messed up? And then all of a sudden the people at the bar around me are like, what do you do for a living? Tell us, do you work for the government? What do you do? You're sitting there at your laptop. It looks cool. Tell us what you're doing. And I'm like, hey, you didn't ask me that until I suddenly was disoriented. Until I came back from the bathroom, finished my beer, and was disoriented and super fucking more drunk than I should have been.
Most recently, there were text messages released between Amy and her friend where she discusses the stalking in even more depth. She sends a message to her friend October of 2021. I just came in from outside, was going to sit on the pool deck with my notebook and work since I couldn't sleep, came back in pretty fast. I just discovered they go through the trash cans by the garage door every night. Realized it had to have been done in the last 2 hours or so because it just started raining in the past couple hours since everyone has been in bed. And you can only tell because of the muddy footprint from the trash can to the nearest cover. She says, man, I don't know. I have a picture of the boots, concrete driveway with some loose sand around the trash cans. It had just rained in the past 2 hours. Perfect conditions to leave a boot print. Coming from the cans to the cover 6 feet away. And in the photo, you can clearly see a footprint. She messages again in November of 2021. Same boot print from the same shoe left on the same patch of wet sand again tonight. Left just within the past couple hours again. I checked the old print a couple hours ago. It was still there. And the second print was not there yet. Walking by just now after we just finished watching a couple hours of TV, and a second print has been laid along the same path, same shoe, in just the past couple hours while we were all inside. Someone is going through our trash cans every night. They tend to wear the same shoes while doing it, and they aren't stupid. They just are totally unconcerned about leaving visible traces, maybe even leaving visible traces intentionally, since it's even obviously the same boot a few nights in a row. This person said, be fun to set up a flare for them. She said, I don't think they're being sloppy. I think they are intentionally leaving obvious visual hints that this territory is actively occupied. Anyone who's not supposed to be here, who is trained to notice these things, would see that and immediately realize that this territory is occupied and that they should immediately leave. She replies to this flare comment, there are 3 camera angles on these boot prints that show nothing. We already knew that the friendlies had a means to subvert the cameras. In this message, she talks about seeing a light from her house. Could see a blinking white light of some kind of equipment at ground level up on the hill. It makes a ton of sense where they chose to set up actually. Shed on the hilltop that has a view of the whole field and area around the house. I told myself it was fine because they were just the friendlies anyway, just so I could pack up my stuff and go back in without freaking out. Did not have the panic attack until I got back inside and realized that I have no way of positively identifying friendly or non-friendly, but that someone was definitely within 75 feet of me, could see their equipment, very dim lights, but still visible. I usually notice they are out there more indirectly. I'm usually not like, oh, there they are right now, 75 feet away. That just shook me up, even assuming they're friends. I feel so trapped. Leaving the house is a nightmare, and now my patio is even questionable to go out to. Now, I know for some people this talk is probably bordering on being completely nuts, but there have actually been multiple people speak out about these so-called cyber hackers. This one lady is all over TikTok talking about cyber hackers interfering with her gym equipment and claiming their names are Garrett Hicks and Malik from San Antonio, Texas.
I've been at the gym for 2.5 hours already, and I don't even feel like I got much of a workout because I didn't. For 2.5 hours of cardio, I didn't get that much of a workout. I can tell you that because of these hackers, Garrett Hicks and Malik from San Antonio, Texas. Garrett Hicks and Malik. And they keep on coming in these machines and equipments, and even they didn't even allow me to burn that many fat cells because why? They were extracting normal force from the floors when I'm exercising in classes, the cardio classes earlier.
Now, this lady may be just a complete nut, and that's a big possibility. But her mentioning some of the equipment and the radiation, I have also heard this from other people.
These hackers, Garrett Hicks and Malik from San Antonio, Texas, be rolling Pegasus spyware magnetic waves loud on me at all times, constantly, even while I'm eating my peanut butter jelly sandwich. Can I please just eat my peanut butter jelly sandwich in peace, please, hackers?
There's another lady who we will discuss further in depth later on who says she was also facing cyber attacks on her cell phone while attempting to conduct research.
It's not just the scientists that are being targeted, it's the technologists as well. So February 25th and 26th of 2025, I was cyber attacked repeatedly. And what that looks like is I had individuals tunneling into my phone. So this was an iPhone, and they say you're not supposed to be able to do this, but they did. So they tunneled into the phone, started putting ads up, hacks, and then pulled up all of these chats and messages that I was having with this developer who had previously developed in Quantum.
A quite interesting connection I was able to make between the Garrett Hicks story and Amy Eskridge's story is this talk of an almost supercharged beam that can heat things up and be used as a type of weapon.
My hands still burn because there's damage. But it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded.
Literally Pegasus spyware rolling on me, loud level, constantly 24/7, day and night. The mind is like of the victim is constantly Pegasus spyware is rolling on me. Pegasus spyware is rolling on me. I'm hacked. Because why? 24/7 they have Pegasus spyware remotely from their end against me rolling on loud level. So it is constantly on my mind since it's rolling on me constantly loud level. I can physically feel it, the magnetic waves of the loud levelness, if that makes any sense.
When I saw this, it reminded me so much of Cars 2, which uses the same type of technology to heat up the cars and blow them up.
Another crash. It's number 9. Nigel. Polly.
I'm detecting an extremely strong electromagnetic pulse. Ben, it's the camera.
Where?
On the tower.
This was meant to be alternative fuel's greatest moment. After today, everyone will race back the gasoline.
It's just such a random, weird link, and I don't know what the connection is, but I find it odd. Anyways, both of these women speak about this beam hitting them with intense radiation and heat, and it's of interest to me that this supposed light beam has actually been produced by Rafael, an Israeli weaponry company.
An Israeli arms company known as Rafael Advanced Defense Systems reveals details of a laser defense system capable of shooting missiles from the sky with a pulse of energy. Futuristic military hardware is called Iron Beam.
The concept of Iron Beam is that it's essentially a high-energy laser that is designed to rapidly heat up the target that it's aimed at. We're talking about aircraft, drones, missiles. Anything that could launch an attack on a city could be literally destroyed in the sky by Iron Beam.
The reason this is of interest to me is because the Malik lady claims her hackers are using Pegasus against her, which sounds a lot like what the technologist went through, speaking of them tunneling into her phone. Pegasus, if you didn't know, is a high-level hacking tool that is also owned by Israel. So what is Pegasus spyware? A powerful spying tool created by NSO Group, an Israeli cyber firm. Can infect your phone through a simple message or missed call, no clicking required. What it can do, access your camera and microphone, read your messages, even encrypted ones like WhatsApp and Signal, track your GPS location, steal your passwords and documents, monitor everything without you noticing. Who has been targeted? Journalists, presidents, human rights activists, and even government officials in Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Pegasus doesn't just spy, it turns your phone into a live surveillance tool in your pocket. I don't know about you, but I see a very interesting pattern starting to emerge here. If you're still feeling skeptical about all of this, let's hear from Amy herself about what she has heard happens to people who are brave enough to speak out.
On the other side of the fence, there's multiple parties looking at each other like, didn't we tell this bitch 3 years ago that we kill people for this? Is she not listening? What is she doing? She's still doing it? What? We told her we were going to kill her 3 years ago. So
someone in the comment of this particular clip says she's talking about how every time throughout the last at least 100 years or so, every time someone learns something that can change the world and destroy profits, they end up disappearing or dead, and all their research gets confiscated or destroyed. Humans have invented cures for things and free and better energy. You just don't know about it because they suppress it, which is what happened to her. This comment, true or not, takes us straight into our next line of questioning, which is, why are these scientists being silenced? What is so confidential that it's worth murdering people over? And that answer actually starts with Nikola Tesla. This is an episode of Ancient Aliens that discusses Nikola Tesla having the ability to harness energy and transfer it wirelessly over long distances.
Which all electrical devices would be automatically powered at all times, requiring no charging or wires, was envisioned more than a century earlier by inventor Nikola Tesla.
Tesla went out to Colorado Springs to see if he could send electricity miles, which is a tremendous achievement. But he had a huge tower, and that was 200 feet to the top. His assistant was located at the laboratory, and Tesla said, when I give you the signal, I want you to throw the switch and fire up the wireless system.
Tesla inserted light bulbs into the earth to see if his tower was in fact creating a wireless circuit with the ground. If so, the bulbs would light up.
These light bulbs were being lit. So he was able to establish that he could transmit electrical power over great distances.
This breakthrough science could have resulted in free, endless energy for all. Sadly, when the bankers, also known as Nikola's investors, found out about his true intentions, they cut their funding and went on a mission to destroy his character, making him out as just a crazy scientist.
Tesla convinces banker J.P. Morgan to give him $150,000 for the construction of a radio station. But instead, he uses the money to build a giant wireless transmitter he calls Wardenclyffe Tower.
Wardenclyffe was 187 feet to the top, but it also went 120 feet down into the ground. And Tesla had envisioned receiving stations which would look just like the Wardenclyffe Tower at different nodal points around the Earth. So he would jump energy by means of wireless from station to station. He even thought that he could eventually use the same system to jump power to different planets.
But Tesla's dream of creating a highly efficient broadcast of wireless electricity was cut short when in 1904, its funder, J.P. Morgan, discovered Tesla's true intentions: to provide free power to everyone on the planet. With lack of additional funding, by 1908, the project was completely abandoned. And in 1917, the tower was demolished. But the shocking revelation was shunned by Tesla's scientific peers and led many to deem him a mad scientist.
Tesla talked about atoms working like solar systems, and that light could work as a wave and a particle. Einstein got a Nobel Prize for saying light worked like a particle, and Bohr and Rutherford got a Nobel Prize for saying that atoms were like little solar systems. So why is he removed from the history of quantum physics when he really belongs at the heart of it?
There are also strong suggestions that Nikola Tesla discovered anti-gravity as well, and that it was the military who silenced him.
According to historians, Tesla began work on his flying machine in 1910, focusing on the use of field propulsion or anti-gravity. It is believed Tesla had discovered that high amounts of electricity could actually create lift in an object.
It was specifically the Israeli defense systems that did not like this anti-gravity technology in the hands of others because it would have the capability to knock missiles out of their path with extreme ease and at the cost of basically no financial or environmental expense.
It is a very powerful weapon, and it can destroy the missiles or remove them from their trajectory. So the interest from military people will be definitely big.
This is exactly the kind of technology that Tesla was talking about in the 1920s and 30s, of using these beam weapons to shoot down missiles and projectiles.
Might Iron Beam be proof that plans for the death ray not only existed, but also may have even been confiscated and carried out by the United States government?
For the technology being in their hands could be useful in fulfilling their own agendas, whatever that may be. But in someone else's hands, it could be used to stop and prevent their agendas. We'll call this theory the money theory. And this theory suggests that the elite bankers and government officials have tried to suppress this knowledge so they can keep humans on a leash, living paycheck to paycheck to keep us poor and keep their pockets full. Like, imagine the type of productivity humans could achieve if they never had to worry about having enough money for power or the power going out. Your electric car would always be fully charged. The money theory was just our first theory. The second theory I've heard some people hypothesize is that there is an asteroid projected to hit Earth in 2029, which will result in a cataclysmic event.
Donald's responsibility and the responsibility of his group is to monitor and catalog the estimated 2,000 asteroids and comets that approach Earth and have a diameter greater than 1 kilometer.
And he specifically mentions Apophis and how that ruined his Christmas in 2008. Let's have a listen.
Let me explain to you why this object, called Apophis, ruined my Christmas in 2004. It was discovered in June of 2004, and because it was difficult to observe, it was rediscovered in December of 2004. And we quickly made some calculations, which is what we do at JPL, and computed the orbit, matched the observations in December of 2004 with those earlier in June, and that gave us a long data arc, as we called it. So we did an orbit, integrated that orbit forward in time to see whether it made any interesting close approaches to the Earth. Well, it does in 2029, April 13th, Friday the 13th.
He then goes on to explain just what we would experience should it actually impact Earth.
This is a 270 meter sized object. Were it to hit the Earth in 2029, it would be a 500 megaton event, which is a way of putting that into context. That's a Hiroshima type blast every second for 10.5 hours. Now, the interesting part of this is if the object were to pass through a very tiny region in space, which we call a keyhole, in 2029, some 600 meters in extent, it will return 7 years later and collide with the Earth on April 13th, 2036. Which turns out to be Easter Sunday.
Now, for me, that's really scary to think about, and honestly, one of my strangest fears. There is plenty more interesting information to go with this theory that other people have also brought up. Amy Eskridge actually talked about 2 types of ultra-terrestrials that are actually supposedly 2 different evolutions of humans from the future who have time traveled back to try and prevent the cataclysm that happened to them.
So the ultra-terrestrials, I'll just tell you. The ultra-terrestrials, I think, have you heard of the P-52s and the P-47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future. P-47 is present plus 47,000 years. P-52 is present plus 52,000 years. And basically there's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die.
Now, if we dive a little bit deeper into this, we start to see people suggest that the P-47s are the elite that had underground bunkers and survived underground. Therefore, they evolved to survive in that environment. Whereas the P-52s are your regular everyday humans who somehow managed to survive on the surface. And they evolved around the harsh environment on Earth's surface. And that's why the 2 look different. So apparently the above ground regular humans, or the P-52s, behave with morals and compassion, whereas the elite, the P-47s, that were underground are more dark and evil. The theory is that the underground evil P-47s are trying to bring the world into the cataclysmic event, because that's how their species continues to exist. Whereas the more human P-52s are here to save humanity and guide us down the right path towards innovation and success, even if it means that they cease to exist. A commenter puts it all very nicely. P-47s. These are said to be the descendants of humans who survived a past apocalyptic event by hiding underground. According to the theory, because they lived in bunkers for thousands of years, they evolved differently, becoming smaller with larger eyes to see in the dark. In some versions of the story, they were the billionaires or elite who had the resources to build these shelters. P-52s, these are the descendants of the humans who stayed above ground and survived on the surface. They are often described as being more advanced or having a slightly different genetic makeup because they had to adapt to the harsh environment and radiation of the surface world. Look up Project Looking Glass. The idea is that these two groups are returning to our time because the P-47s want us to stay on this timeline toward that apocalyptic event because it is the birth of their species, while the P-52s are trying to nudge us toward a different path, even if it means they, as they currently exist, might disappear if they succeed in saving the world. P-47 fighting for power in their current timeline. P-52 fighting to stop the catastrophe. Just a theory, though. So that is the basis of this second theory. Let's call it the cataclysmic time travel theory. The time travel portion of this theory is mentioned multiple times as well. Once by Amy in a text message that reads, "I told you the cataclysm was in 7 years. That would be 2028, like he just said. You can secretly travel to before it was invented, but you cannot publicly release the details of time travel tech until after it's invented. You cannot go to the future. No go." Time travel is brought up again when it comes to Nikola Tesla, which is so very interesting to me based on the theory we just discussed regarding the P-52s and the P-54s. It's also very important information to disclose that the video I'm about to show you discussing this connection between Nikola Tesla and time travel is a clip from the show Ancient Aliens, who we can hypothesize were also recently silenced. We're starting to build some strong connections here. What I'm proposing is that Nikola Tesla could have been a P-52 sent here to help guide humanity towards a master key to the universe.
There are those who believe that Nikola Tesla was not only in contact with extraterrestrials, but was sent here to Earth by them to fulfill a mission and usher in a new age for mankind.
Meanwhile, the P-47s, potentially Tesla's bank investors, JP Morgan, and the Israeli IDF tried everything they could to shut him up and sweep his secrets of the universe under the rug the best they possibly could. The third theory, which if you're starting to notice, all of these theories could be combined to create one massive theory. And we're definitely going to get into that one at the end. We need to understand everything before we can just dive right into that, though. Let's call this third theory the timelines theory. Another thing that doesn't seem like a coincidence is what David Wilcock had to say about different timelines and how in this current timeline that we're on, the good side wins.
It's true, folks. You need to stop the shit. Some things I don't mind talking about. I don't like talking about this. What the hell are you doing, dude? You're going to lose. You're not going to win. It's inevitable. We already know because the future timeline is fixed. This particular timeline that we're on leads to your defeat. There is no getting around that. You are not being in integrity, but you don't care. But if you don't do this, we are screwed, man. You think this is all natural? You think nobody's coordinating any of this stuff? You think I want to talk about this? You think I want to be up here on this fucking camera talking about this shit?
So the bad side is currently doing everything they can to cause destruction before the inevitable happens. Could he be talking about the same event that Amy was discussing, the cataclysmic event? It's very possible. At this point in the discussion, we need to bring in another very intelligent individual who is actually a technologist that works on the coding and cyber side of the science going on. She is discussing very out-of-the-box theories, but they interestingly align with all of the other information we have gathered this far. She is claiming that these supposed evil people know how to manipulate time and open portals.
Is all about numbers, right? This is how the universe works. It's very mathematical. And instead of making people terrified about what's happening and what's going on, these groups need to be honest about the problems that they're causing by accelerating time and smashing particles and ripping open the universe and just causing all these problems.
She suggests that that's what actually happened at the Miami Mall incident and to the Malaysian Flight 370.
Like another example is that Malaysia flight. So this is a video of the Malaysia Airlines, and I received this in a cybersecurity report. So you can actually see these 3 plasma orbs here. And I hovered over the image so that you could actually see this, but the plane is going, and this comes from a satellite view, and then all of a sudden, space-time rips open, and then it closes afterwards, immediately afterwards. Let me show that to you again. And these are these orbs, and this is this research that all of our stuff is touching. Is this stuff right here.
We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it?
Interestingly enough, Amy Eskridge also mentions portals being one of the 8 forces of nature.
And then 7th force is basically energy into matter into energy, which sounds like what? A portal, man. If you can energy matter.
The technologist also believes that this manipulation of space-time is why so many people experience the Mandela effect, or seeming glitches in reality. This would also tie into our previous knowledge that the evils are trying to find any way to win this supposed war, and maybe that includes trying to switch dimensions or something else in that realm of possibilities. Maybe that's also the reason they want to hide the asteroid or potential apocalyptic event, because they have no plans to try and stop it. One side plans to watch the world implode so that they can survive underground and become the rulers of their very own underworld, and the other side wants to help humanity divert the catastrophe and save the human race. I wanted to show all of you this really weird story told by just an everyday lady like me and you about her recent bizarre experiences regarding the apparent shifts in time.
I am freaking the fuck out right now. What is CERN doing with our timeline? Like, what are they doing? I've been unpacking some boxes from my storage unit. I pulled these out of a cedar chest I have, and I've worn these every winter for almost 20 years. My son is 22 years old, and when he was in diapers, he was like 2.5. My best friend crocheted these for me. I bought the yarn in the colors I wanted. These are my favorite. And he crocheted it for me. He made 1 hat and 1 scarf for me. That's all I bought 2 skeins of yarn, and that was all that was going to be enough for, right? Was 1 hat and 1 scarf. What the fuck is happening? This, as you can clearly see, is a second hat, and they look different. They look different, but I don't remember this one. I remember this one because it had these weird lines where it started to separate at the bottom because he was running out of yarn. I don't remember this one at all. And what's really freaking me out is that I messaged him about it. It's like, hey dude, listen, I need you to remember this event for me correctly, okay? Because I'm not sure I am. He said, well, what's going on? And I said, remember that scarf and hat you made for me? The one in the fall colors, and I bought the yarn. And he's like, yeah. And I said, what exactly did you crochet out of all of that? And he said, I made you 1 hat and 1 scarf because that's all you asked for, and you only gave me 2 skeins of yarn. I was like, that's it? 1 hat and 1 scarf? And he said, yeah, that was all you gave me enough for. I said, you didn't make me 2 hats? He goes, no, I would have needed a whole nother skein of yarn for that. So then I showed him what was happening with the hats, and he goes, what the actual fuck? He doesn't remember making a second hat either. I just found my own personal Mandela effect in the Matrix.
There has been some other weird stuff too. A baby alive doll growing its own hair, and a moving tree.
Okay, so update on this baby, because somebody commented and said the gel and the hairbrushing probably pulled the hair up through the skull. But keep in mind, her hair was like this, okay? There's no way that this much got pulled up. So I'm gonna hold her, and I'm gonna pull on her hair. And like, you can see I'm pulling, nothing is coming up any further. All
right, something's fucking fishy around here and I don't like it. This tree, I know this tree well. This fucking thing, that thing is not real. That's not a real fucking tree. It's not in any of my childhood photos, and it doesn't even show up on Google Maps. On top of that, I feel like it's been getting closer to me. I fucking went out there the other night and measured it 377 feet away from me. I measured it this morning, 345 feet away from me, and the motherfucker's getting closer. It's getting closer to me. Why? There's no logical explanation. What is it, fucking tracking me?
Now, all of these could just be a hoax, but I do love when real people speak out because we're just so much stronger and smarter together. The technologist goes on to talk about a mind virus that the evil maniacs, perhaps the P-47s, installed into the human brain in 2009, and that she has been working really hard to patch these holes being ripped into the universe through people messing with it.
So I was working cybersecurity at NDA, and I had been receiving a lot of different cyber reports. So my specialty is blockchain identity technology. I am the product manager that mapped paper identity to digital, but it was never supposed to be what it is today, like on devices where we have 50,000 data points on you. It was never supposed to become that. That was a blatant misuse and abuse of the technology that I created. And the ultimate identity is the brain. So this is neuroscience. So we got to a point where we were starting to map how do we put protections into people's brains so that they don't get cyber attacks, so that the attention economy, where we harvest information on you and essentially build out applications and stuff and essentially neurohack your brain so that you'll stay so engaged in these products that we create. So I was going through and winding and mapping out the brain and saying, okay, if we do this and we teach people these behaviors right here, we can stop that hack and people can start to push back. The thing that drives these wars is sexuality. It's human trafficking, it's sexuality, it's control, and it's really gross. It became apparent that these malwares, right? Malware, the viruses, because I have been looking at this one since like 2009, and I initially thought it was a computer virus, and then kind of forgot about it over like a decade, and then it started to pop back up on my radar, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because it uses social engineering principles to sneak in there. And what happened is this social engineering malware, this virus pretended to be money, and it hijacked the brain, the dopamine hijack of the brain, and it gave that variability of rewards, and scarcity, and like, oh, I gotta have this kind of thing, otherwise I'm gonna be left behind, that FOMO. And so it started to neuro hijack the brain. And as soon as I figured out, wait a minute, this malware has attached itself to our energy grid, and it's emitting the equivalent of 21 Hiroshimas a day in heat. It's a cyber atomic, full stop, everybody. And I mean, this is what I was over. Like, this is a weapon. This is a weapon you have to stop. And when you mess with their money and you mess with the energy lobby, and if you mess with those Bitcoiners, they get super mad. I feel bad about saying this in a way, but also in a way I don't, because of the atrocities that I witnessed within Mormonism, being an 8th generation individual that grew up in this trafficking organization. And they're not going to like that I said that. I ended up having to go offline for 10 days. My car tires were getting slashed. I destroyed my machines and my devices, and then there was like interference, and then I switched my phones and stuff. And there was like this obsession. It was so weird with like taking possession of me and taking my autonomy from the people that were around me. Like, why do you guys need to be doing this? Like, leave me alone. Like, you're compromising me more. And then the weirdest one is my car turned on without me having turned it on. It just turned on. And so after that, I disabled everything, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I need to be hypervigilant.
Now, I find the mention of a mind virus particularly fascinating because that's exactly what Elon Musk said he lost his son to. It makes you wonder if maybe this whole epidemic of violence, pedophilia, no morality, and hating God really is a mind virus that we have to fight back against. I'm sure you have all noticed that there has also been a recent uptick in orb and plasma sightings, which the technologist lady actually touches on.
It was published initially in the Journal of Modern Physics, February 2024, Extraterrestrial Life in the Thermosphere, Plasma's UAP, Pre-Life Fourth State of Matter. So this pre-life fourth state of matter, it comes in different shapes: a cone, a cloud, a donut, a spherical, cylindrical, in 45, 90, and 180 degrees. So I saw these massive orbs over flashing in and out of the visible light spectrum plasma. So actually saw these things in real time because it comes from electromagnetic testing. So they were doing stuff over at the military base, and this was Camp Williams, right? So this was Camp Williams of last year. Now,
in my opinion, the orbs look a lot like this ball of atoms, just at a larger scale.
A moving mass, as in caused by gravity.
The atoms are sensitive enough to detect.
Meaning, I think that the orbs and plasma balls people have been seeing may actually be the government testing out their anti-gravity technology. We are finally ready to get into our final master theory that encompasses a little bit of all the theories we have already discussed. Now that you have the knowledge to understand the logic, let's get into it. The master theory suggests that the world is projected to suffer a cataclysmic event. This event will either come through a nuclear war or an asteroid collision.
I need someone to explain to me why Apophis is making the news again. With zero additional information from what we've known for months, maybe even years, there are all these articles in the last few days talking about Apophis. Now, I had brought it up a week ago, but I had not heard anyone else talk about it, and now you've got mainstream news, like ABC had posted something about it too. Let me find it. Yeah, here. April 14th. They're talking about the God of Chaos asteroid. Why are they talking about it right now as if there's anything new under the sun with this? There isn't. Unless perhaps there is.
The reason the anti-gravity and free energy technology is being gatekept is because it could be used for both good and evil. The good side can use the anti-gravity technology to fight back against a potential apocalyptic event. For example, a nuclear weapon could not be used to destroy the Earth if anti-gravity technology exists, because it would be capable of taking the missiles clean out of the air. Anti-gravity technology could also be used to prevent an asteroid impact, because it would have the capabilities to knock an entire asteroid out of its trajectory. On the flip side, though, the technology could also be used to guide an asteroid towards Earth, or to guide a nuclear weapon into destruction. I believe the free energy technology is also being hidden because, according to Nikola Tesla, the only way to obtain anti-gravity is to have an endless supply of energy.
Throughout the 1920s and 30s, Tesla continually talked about anti-gravity ships that could derive power from his Wardenclyffe towers that were going to be broadcasting power. He claimed that these ships did not have wings or fuel. They were completely electric.
The P-52s and P-54s fit into this theory as the two opposing sides that are capable of time travel and messing with space-time. Someone like Nikola Tesla, for example, could have been a P-52 that was sent back to help humanity obtain this knowledge. Whereas his enemies, like JP Morgan and the IDF, could be the potential P-47s who are here to steal from humanity and cause destruction. Interestingly enough, there was one name that constantly appeared as I conducted my research, and that was the dual companies Raytheon and Rafael. Raytheon and Rafael are companies that play a major role in the creation of multiple Israeli defense systems and missiles. Nikola Tesla was made to abandon his anti-gravity work partially because these investors knew it would have the capabilities to disable their defense systems and to disable their attacks as well. Amy Eskridge also interestingly mentioned Raytheon missiles while discussing anti-gravity with her friend. She says, "One of my brothers manages the supply chain database for how they build missiles at Raytheon, and even something as classified as sensitive as a missile has dozens or even 100 different commercial contractor vendors for all the many different little pieces." This next little tidbit here doesn't really add to the theory, but it's still very interesting nonetheless. If you remember from my first video I did on Erica Kirk, her father supposedly played a role in forming connections between certain US companies and Rafael and Raytheon to create more advanced weaponry. Now, I'm definitely not saying Erica Kirk is an alien, but those eyes tell a very scary story.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
Now, coming back to more seriousness, in this theory, we believe the missing scientists are actually hidden away so they can continue their advancements in a safe and confidential environment. I don't think we would be crazy to suggest that the FBI is actually opening up this investigation as the bad guys who are hunting the scientists down in order to destroy them. Because the FBI has suspicions that someone took these scientists into protection where they could be free to advance their research. Multiple of the scientists that vanished were last seen walking alone, carrying a weapon, or burned beyond recognition. What if these scientists received a message saying, "Meet me here, come alone, bring nothing, I can protect you"? And so these scientists went out, of course, skeptical and fearful with a weapon. And basically, these protectors had to make it appear that the scientists had just disappeared off the face of the earth because the people that are monitoring them basically watch their every move. It's definitely something for us to think about. What I really want everyone to take from this video is that there could be a potential cataclysmic event in our near future, whether that's an asteroid or a nuclear war, and that there are evil people, evil extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials that want to see this destruction take place, who are pushing for this destruction to take place. And on the other side, there are good people, good extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials that are trying to warn us and give us knowledge that will advance the human race, not destroy it.
Voting constantly in my life where I have people being like, do it, do it, do it, you're the one, do it. And then I have multiple people being like, they're gonna kill you, don't do it. They're gonna kill you.
I want people to digest the evidence that some of these specific elites, like the ones who run the banks and who run certain countries, do not want this free energy anti-gravity technology out there, which to some could appear somewhat implicating in these recent disappearances and deaths. Who knows, maybe these elites are the ultra-terrestrials themselves or their offspring. Maybe the scientists aren't even missing or dead, and they're actually in some sort of witness protection program that allows them to continue their research in hiding. My optimistic side wants to believe this because losing such bright minds is a massive travesty, and we should be angry about it. If you really think about it, we should be much more advanced as a civilization by now. We should already be driving hovering cars. So in my mind, there must be some reason as to why we're not. Some reason as to why it seems like innovation came to a screeching halt. And maybe the theories we discussed here today help explain it all. What do you think about all of this? Is this conversation way too far out of the box for you? Or do you enjoy these deep dive rabbit hole type videos? For me, if life can be real and believable, then anything can be real and believable. My mind is wide open. What about yours? It was great talking to you all, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
When he did that, you were able to touch the hemisphere in the reactor, remove the hemisphere, and then you can see a small tower with a tube coming off of it. That tower had a cap on it. The cap slid off, and inside was a triangular piece of a almost copper-colored material. It had little slice marks on it, and that material turned out to be element 115, a super heavy element yet to be discovered at the time.
From what we've been able to determine, it's what powers the craft. It's made of several components. First is a removable hemisphere. There's a tower, and we'll call our drift tube on the side, a small cap that comes off. And inside the tower is what we think is the fuel, element 115. The fuel element is placed inside the tower, cap is placed on, and then as soon as the hemisphere makes a flat connection to the base, it'll create its own gravitational field. It becomes operational. It will push your hands away as soon as that's sat on there. And the field feels similar to like holes of a magnet. There's some elasticity to it. You could push back on it as hard as you want, but a really important thing is it's not transferring that force to the base. Even though this would move, you can push on the field and it wouldn't slide this. I mean, if you had two magnets with like poles and you pushed on one, the other one would go sliding across the table. That doesn't happen here. Through X-rays, we were able to determine that there's a hollow tube that goes around the base. We assume that's something like a cyclotron, where particles are accelerated around, and there's, if you want to call it an off-ramp, is the drift tube. Comes up and interacts in the tower in some way to produce energy. Now, this device doesn't produce any heat at all. It didn't produce 1 degree of temperature change, no matter how much load it was under. To turn the reactor on, all the components in the craft are connected in some way, but not physically, and we really don't know how that is. If you take one of the emitters and you rotate it past 20 degrees, the reactor will turn on, and you can no longer even get your hands by it. Conversely, to turn it off, rotate the emitter, the reactor shuts down. And assumingly that's removing the load from the reactor, I think it's just load sensing. It sees that the emitter and amplifier wants power, and it turns on. But the exact mechanism that's taking place there is completely unknown. So I began to feel the field about up here, and at this distance, there's no way you're moving your hands any closer. But like I said, the most amazing thing is leaning into it, putting all your force on that. Nothing moves at all. And when the reactor's off, you can easily slide it.